real reporting. Democrats faced with actual real reporting, horror of it in California, are still moving the Nick Shirley Act through the legislature, which bans him from standing on any kind of city street or city property, so think a sidewalk, while asking questions of fraudsters. You know, journalism things.
Yeah, right. And also First Amendment things, too.
Yeah, which the Democrats definitely don't believe in that.
No.
Right. If he shares video, or anyone like him, but they're actually calling it the Nick Shirley Act among the legislators, shares video of himself confronting these fraudsters, you know, when they're running a daycare out of their condo and there's no kids or playground or teachers, but they're getting, as you know, one woman he confronted, $700,000 over the last year and a half, and she only seems to be taking care of her own kids. Barely speaks English, by the way. If he puts that video online, it's $10,000 fine each time. Why? Well, you don't question their voters. If you take an original video, you can do this on X. Sometimes you'll reshare, but sometimes you can download the original video and then make your own. Anybody who does that gets a $10,000 fine. But, I mean, is she actually stealing the money? Shut up. She votes Democrat. And we love crime. This is, I'm not exaggerating. This is where we are. They called him a racist. He's had to live with death threats. They said he made up the Leering Center. Remember when CNN called the Leering Center? Excuse me, hello, CNN. I'm not kidding. This is what they did. CNN. Yes, we're on the phone. No, we're not coming by. Hey, are you committing fraud? No? Okay, good. Nick Shirley's a liar. I mean, that was essentially their story. They just asked, are you committing fraud? They're like, no. And CNN's like, well, no, see, everything's fine. The folks at the Leering Center were just indicted, Lee.
Yep.
Nick Shirley wins. Actual reporting wins. Here's what Nick Shirley actually said about that yesterday in his tweet. CBS News said there was no evidence of fraud. The New York Times said the Somali community was being targeted because of race. CNN said there was little evidence. Tim Walz, thank God, who is, thank God, not the vice president, and soon not to be the governor of Minnesota, said it was white supremacy to expose fraud. Today, 90 million busted, 15 charged. Nick Shirley writes, it was all fraud, and they knew. Of course they did. I'm going to get into the they knew part in a minute because, Lee, we've had whistleblower after whistleblower after whistleblower testify now before the Republican Congress. You know, hey, I work in the control division there in Minnesota. I went to them. I told them about the fraud. I got fired. Some of them were even stalked at their homes for it. This is not American, Lee. This is like a tin pot dictatorship. Anyway, the Quality Leering Center, where they teach you to leer with quality or something.
Leer with quality.
Quality leering, not just the regular kind.
Equal opportunity leering for all.
Exactly. Indicted. Now, I want to note this, okay, because this is what's so remarkable about this. I've been playing this audio for a very long time. After the millions of dollars, about $300 million, went through the Minnesota airport, everybody there saw it, cash going to Somalia, same thing every week, same guys. And everybody and their brother reported it to the federal government. Under Barack Obama, Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, started investigating, I kid you not, the Quality Leering Center. Same center. They surveilled it for months. It was a joint operation. It was FBI. There was state of Minnesota was involved at that time. The police, not the bureaucracy. They state of local police agencies, so not anyone under Democrat control directly. FBI, HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, surveilled it, documented the fraud, didn't see a child coming or going the entire time. 2015. They had it all ready to go. All the documents, everything. And then it disappeared. It just died.
Funny how that happens. I'm sure it's a coincidence.
Under Barack Obama. So this is how long this has been going on, how many administrations this has crossed. Folks, this is not an accident. Here's Jeremy Christensen, a fraud investigator with HSI. He's done a lot of other things as well, doing an interview in the beginning of the year when this first broke. Yeah, well, we investigated this in 2015, but Democrats wouldn't let us go forward with it.
I was an HSI agent for 16 years in my 30-year law enforcement career. Back around 2015-ish, a case landed on my desk one day from my supervisor, basically advised me that the state was running a fraud case regarding daycare fraud in Minneapolis through Health and Human Services or Department of Human Services. And they had a task force put together, and they wanted HSI to participate based on our money skills and our immigration skills and so forth like that. Personnel of various law enforcement agencies, the Health and Human Services, BCA, St. Paul PD, Minneapolis PD. And it was all revolving around fraudulent daycares. They were setting up sham daycares, fake bills, fake students, or just enrolling students that never came, which is all fake daycares. That's the easiest way to explain it. And then over the next several months, we executed several search warrants throughout South Minneapolis, Lake Street, and different areas at these daycares. Never, now one of the daycares I served warrants on, not one person was ever present. Just empty buildings, stacks of invoices and student records of people that our surveillance showed never went there. Nobody ever came in and out of these daycares. It was just completely empty from my experience. Never was occupied daycare. And like I said, we worked that for 3-4 months. I was assigned that case just as a support person to assist with anything needing as far as financial. And ultimately, the task force just kind of went away. Not sure whatever happened to it. The meetings, I would get email notices when their next planning meeting, what we're going to do next, and all of a sudden it just evaporated.
Oh,
Just
I bet
went
it
away into
did.
thin air.
I bet it did. This is a massive problem, Lee, that we have in this country. We're going to have to figure out a way to resolve it in that people can't drive to D.C. to sign up for welfare or their daycare, federal grants or whatever. So the states administer them. And these Democrat states are so corrupt now that they cannot be trusted to administer federal programs. And I don't know what we do about that because it means every time they win, we're going to get robbed blind.
Well, when you find someone within state government that is an accessory to this crime, you prosecute them and put them in prison if they're convicted. That'll stop it, or at least make a dent in it.
It does, but even James Comer was talking about this, and I agree with you. No, totally, it does, but the problem is proving how much they know. I mean, Comer was saying, look, we had all these whistleblowers saying, oh, absolutely, Tim Walz knew, absolutely, Keith Ellison knew. They did nothing. It's really hard when you don't take action to charge something criminally. If you do take an action, a memo, an email, hey, shut this down, stop this, then we got you, right? But if you're in collusion with, but even then you can say, oh, well, it's a bad use of executive resources. Yeah. It's so hard to get these people.
Yeah. But we can do hard things.
We can do hard things. And there's a lot of good news today about the crackdown on the fraud. And Lee, so much mind-boggling news. I mean, I've been doing this almost every day. Some days I just don't play the audio because I don't have enough time. I mean, yesterday, how much audio? The audio is, Joni Ernst, Senator, $1.4 billion in fraud a day being documented by the Fraud Task Force. John Kennedy, $1.1 trillion stolen from Medicaid over a decade, just Medicaid. Over a decade, 1.1 trillion. I mean, the numbers are beginning to get mind-boggling. You almost can't wrap your mind around it. But here's what my husband says, because he was in banking for a very long time, and that very, count every cent, document everything world. And he looks at this and he goes, that money's moving through the financial system. Because he used to work for Bank of America. He said we had flags for everything. Exhaustively. It's like he didn't like that job. It was so boring, but there's flags for every little dang thing. How do you move $1.4 billion a day in fraud through our financial system and no one notices? Yeah. Because someone's noticing. I guarantee you that trips the fraud algorithms. I guarantee somewhere there's a slug of this that got covered up, maybe banking involved. Somebody's covering this up. You can't move that amount of money without somebody noticing. And you know what I think? I'm going to make a prediction. This is a good thing. I bet you by the end of the Trump administration, you think this stuff staggeringly? I bet we're going to get even bigger pieces as we begin to pull these threads. And now people are talking, right? And they want a plea deal. And, I know this guy, he's doing this, and I know who launders the money. We get that. It's going to blow your mind who it is.
If we elect politicians that are willing to go along with this.
Yeah.
And if we don't, and if politicians get elected that are going to continue to cover it up, and you know what I'm talking about, the Democrats, whether they lean to the right or not, they're going to continue to cover this up because that's part of their funding mechanism for the party and the power.
You know what was interesting to me, and I'm trying to pull her name. Where'd it go? Oh, darn it. I can see her face. She's been all over Fox News. She did. You go high enough in Minneapolis, Democrat fraud. She said she's going to get sentenced this week, or we're supposed to, or early next week. I can't remember her name. She's a white woman. She is not Somali.
No.
And she had a high-ranking position in the Democrat Party in the state. They got her for this fraud. So you go up enough levels here past the vote bundling level, and now you're into white, American-born, non-immigrant Democrats.
Right. Yeah.
And I hate I'm blanking on her name. New York Post has been covering her. And now I can't find it, darn it. But anyway, she knew. She was part of it. And she's the one this week saying Ilhan Omar knows too, and I'm the one going to prison because I'm white and she's black. She's not going to prison. It's not fair. Well, she's been saying that in interviews to the New York Post, but I'm telling you, we're going to hit the pay dirt. You know, you dig down deep enough, you find the oil. In this case, you dig down deep enough, you're going to find Democrat leadership of these states.
And, of course, Omar has been shutting herself up about this and has been not submitting documents that she's been required to submit and not talking about this. So it's funny how suddenly one of the most vocal progressive socialist Marxists suddenly goes quiet, isn't it?
It's awfully funny. And here it is. I've just found it. I just want to use her name. Could you look her up? Amy Bach. That's her name. AIMEE Bach. She's the founder of the nonprofit Feeding Our Future. White Democrat activist. Says she's being scapegoated because she's not black.
Yeah, the only thing they were feeding was the future of the Democrat Party.
She looks like she ate the whole thing.
Now, Tara, don't be body shaming
sorry.
now. Oh,
so wrong.
Yes.
So wrong. Anyway, you just get so angry when you think what they've stolen from you. I mean,
I know.
From all of us.
My wife and I was talking about her. This is what makes me so furious. There's a lot of things to be upset about in this country, but the fact that we sit here and we work hard and try to follow the rules and pay our darn taxes, as I've been doing all my life, and to think that these people, and I'm talking about anybody involved in the front, I don't care their party affiliation, their gender, their ethnicity, makes no difference to me, that are defrauding the American taxpayer, taking money that is meant to go to somebody who might really need it. I've got no problem helping actually needy people in this country to give them a hand up.
And apparently we can afford that more than I thought. When you look at the side, the theft. By the way, when you hear this is crazy. Yesterday, Joni Ernst, 25% of Medicaid spending is fraud.
Yes, 25%.
And we know that.
Of a multi-billion-dollar a year program.
Absolutely. Okay, I've overrun the end of the segment here.
Hey, it's Friday,
I can talk
why
about this
not?
forever. I know. Yeah, what the heck? Why not? Plus, the management doesn't start listening till about half after, so
Yes,
we'll be fine. All right, start the music.
Stimulating talk and breaking news done right.
This is The Tara Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas. Interact on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. Text or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989. This is The Tara Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
The amount of fraud being found in the United States is staggering. And this is not just a problem of crime. It's a problem so severe that it may be achieving, whether intentionally or not, a strategy to actually destabilize the country, to intentionally drain its resources, and to eventually force changes that Americans would otherwise never accept. I'm of course talking about the Cloward-Piven strategy. And if you aren't familiar with that, then get ready, because this could actually explain many of the problems we're watching unfold. Now, first off, on the fraud, it's bigger than most would have ever imagined. The U.S. government's anti-fraud unit has disclosed now they're looking at an estimated $230 billion in fraud being committed.
Now, he's using the low-end estimate by that group. The high-end estimate's $521 billion a year and growing. We get a bigger picture, wider lens every day. And folks, I'm going to start being committed to playing this audio. I cut it, and some days I don't play. I do it. I cut it every day. Trillion here, trillion there, billion here, billion there. And the trillions are right now over decades, or a decade. We're not even talking decades anymore. But the numbers are truly staggering. I mean, one county in L.A. doing a third of the hospice billing in the country. And they're saying that's the Armenians. A lot of it's Armenian crime rings. Those, they bundle for Democrats in California, so they're untouchable. Dr. Oz goes in to investigate, and Gavin Newsom files a civil rights complaint. Oh, he's just being racist against the Armenians. Armenians are same color I am. I mean, they're covering it up at this point. Here's Dr. Oz on the latest.
We can save these programs. There's about $100 billion of money stolen from them. A lot of this by foreign governments, definitely foreign, international crime syndicates. So we can get our arms around this. COVID convinced a lot of people they could defraud the federal government, especially in healthcare, which is probably 50% of the fraud, and get away with it. If we send a clear message, we're not tolerating it anymore, they go away. Look what happened to hospice care in California. And, this is a program where 1/3 of all of the hospice in the country is in LA. 1/3. So we have already gone after 850 of these hospices, stopped paying them. Some have come back, a few, to say we were wrong. The vast majority just ran away. So we can win this battle, but we got to do it together. Part of the reason I came to Minnesota is to send a message to the people here. We care about you. We'll do this together, but it has to be done together in unison.
Meanwhile, in another branch of the Trump administration, Kelly Loeffler announces what she's found. The Biden administration deliberately, again, we've heard this so many times, turned off the fraud controls and allowed $14 billion to walk out the door.
This is actually policy for Democrats. This is the allowance of fraud. They knew what was happening. They knew that they were not going to check Treasury's do not pay list because 2/3 of them would have been flagged on the do not pay list. And then they ordered SBA employees to only take 4 hours per applicant and not take any more time and get those applications through. That's how $14 billion got out the door so quickly. And then we come to find out in the GAO report that 70% of it was fraudulent.
Unbelievable. So the Treasury has a do not pay list for grants to certain groups that appear to be committing fraud. 70% for these grants were flagged for fraud right there in the system. They just ignore it. Biden administration ordered their staff to ignore the U.S. Treasury's do not pay list. They paid out to them 70% flagged for fraud. $14 billion goes out the door. This is not an accident. Folks, let me tell you what. This is all, you know how it's all going to come together? Prediction. I'm going to be right. I got to start writing this stuff down like Rush. Hold on with the music. Hold on. You know all that money going into Act Blue, the big Democrat fundraising arm, where they outraise us by billions of dollars a year, or used to, before everybody quit because of the fraud investigation there? And they have these little donations, $1 here, $2 there, and one person will donate $22,000, and then Chris Rufo goes to their door, knock, 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 knock. Excuse me, did you donate to the Democrat Party? No. Well, yeah, you did, 22,000 times. No, I didn't. This money is going to end up there. That is how they are funneling into their operations. We're going to get all of this, folks. I pray. If we have enough time, we can go fast enough, we're going to get it all. It is going to be life-changing. By the way, Kelly Loeffler, she's the head of the Trump Small Business Association administration, the one who found that the Biden administration just turned off the fraud controls and started handing billions of dollars to, this is incredible, to the people flagged for fraud on the do not pay list. I guarantee they're all Democrats with the right connections. Yeah, she says, look, we are getting the money back. And this is what I want to point out to you, because it can make you really mad. You're going to work today, I guess, to pay Democrat fraudsters. Look, this is the healing process. This is the part we find out. That's how we can take action. The fact that we're finding out is power. Is power for good. Here's what she says they're doing.
What we're doing is systematically going through, issuing demand letters, and making sure taxpayers get the money back, and that people are prosecuted. Not one single person was referred to Treasury during this entire Biden administration until we've come in, sent the letters over to Treasury, and then we're also going to be sending them to the DOJ. So fraudsters, be on notice. We're coming after you.
News they hope you missed. Tara's got it first. This is The Tara Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. text, or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is The Tara Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to the long weekend. I'm one of these weirdos who loves a long rainy weekend. Love to veg, hang out with the kids, hang out with the family. My daughter's like that too. She loves like gray, rainy. Snug is how I think of it. Anyway, I'm looking forward to the weekend. I don't know about you. Hope you have a great time with your family. And of course, remember the reason for the weekend. So many U.S. lives. I mean, great Americans who never came home. Okay. Folks, I got to tell you what. The war's about to be at home. Do you hear? This is incredible. Headline, Trump supporter beaten within an inch of his life. What did he do? What crime did he commit? He liked Donald Trump. He loved America. And he decked out his entire yard in pro-Trump, pro-American, flag signs, all of it. It's actually pretty cool looking. I mean, it's extensive. It's not small. The problem is he did this in San Diego, where disagreement is not allowed. He was brutally beaten Wednesday night outside. You should see him. You should see his face. You see it. Just go look at a picture in New York Post. See what the left's capable of. Well, his wife has now given an update to the media. There is no hope for him. He is not going to make it. They've arrested the assailant, lives around the corner, a liberal who knows everything. Thomas Caleb Butler, 32 years old. And by the way, this guy, he's 69, veteran. His wife, Maria, revealed to the California Post through tears her husband isn't expected to survive. Folks, let's pray for him. Just say a prayer for him. It's unbelievable. By the way, this liberal lunatic also injured the Good Samaritan who, God bless him, intervened. This guy was beaten near to death. Not the Samaritan, the other guy. The grandpa. Folks, let me give you a peek into the mindset of these people. This poll. It's about Luigi Mangione, their hero, the murderer. And he really is their hero. In polling done shortly after he murdered CEO Brian Thompson, and this is incredible, folks. Liberals are asked, hey, how do you feel about this? They love it. They love it. 68% of liberals in the poll said they had at least some sympathy for Thompson. No, Mangione, 68%. 31% of liberals said they have a lot of sympathy for Mangione. Yeah, this is why the charges against him. You're going to watch him get dropped. They're getting rid of the evidence right now. This week you saw that. By the way, I predicted this. Luigi Mangione, by the time they're done, they dropped the charges, inadmissible evidence. Oh, we can't use the proof in his backpack, says the liberal judge. Wink, wink. But he's going to walk out of prison a young man. And Thompson's kid's going to have to walk the world with him, knowing he's out there, a hero. And that's why old men, 69 years old, get beaten to death in their front yard for putting up Trump decorations in California. That's why this mentality is out of control. If you want to see it and not take my word for it, go on Blue Sky. I drop in every day to just awe and wonder. Because you know what? I spend a lot of time in conservative social media, a lot. And we have our crackpots, just like they do. But they don't want to kill everyone all the time. In fact, they don't want to kill anyone at all. You will not find that kind of commentary. But Blue Sky, it is pure homicidal rage. Because they lost an election. But all this happened, they just lost an election. Moreover, 35% of liberals said they not only sympathized with the murderer Mangione, but specifically supported his decision to murder Thompson. I wonder if any of these people know why our healthcare is so whacked. They probably have no idea. Most of them are young. Because Democrats voted without a single Republican vote to pass Obamacare. And then the guy who put it together for Obama admitted they lied to us all. That they always knew it would double the cost of the middle class's healthcare. Who wrote it? You libs don't even know. I bet you Luigi Mangione couldn't tell me this if I asked him in prison. It'd be the one question I'd ask him. Who wrote the bill? Who wrote the healthcare bill? The one you have to live with, we all have to live with. The one that doubled our premiums when Obama lied, said it would cut them by $2,500. By the way, that doubling, that's from the Health and Human Services Department under Obama. That's where I get that stat. Who wrote the bill? The healthcare industry did. I reported on it. I was on the air then. They were at the White House almost every day. They let him write it. Why? So they could rob you blind. Why? Because they wanted to double the cost of healthcare. Why? Because remember, they were going to attach a public option to it. So they would make it so the middle class couldn't afford their health insurance and gradually would be forced to go into communist socialized care. The problem is they ran out of votes at the last minute. They came up one vote short and they couldn't add the public option. So they passed the other half of the bill that deliberately bankrupts Americans. The one they laughed about later. Go look it up. Lie of the year. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Lie of the year. It will reduce your health care costs. And that was from the liberal media. And I guarantee you none of these young liberal pro-assassins have any idea who destroyed their health care. We wanted to deregulate it and allow people to choose from an unlimited number of healthcare companies across state lines. It would have been a vicious competition. It would have lowered prices, but they didn't want that. They wanted high prices so they could get their socialized healthcare. So, I mean, if you're mad about your healthcare, don't go kill a CEO. He's just following the law. Go to the next Barack Obama public event. You ask him what I just told you. Why did you do this to us? But they don't know, folks. They don't know their history. Their media keeps them dumb, and that makes them violent. And they're increasingly violent and stupid. And this week, you saw those three women. Oh, the kids outside passing as reporters. Zohan Mamdani gives them press, credentials that he won't give to us. Oh, his kids are better off that he's dead. A guy who, I don't know, good, by all accounts, a good person, just following the law Obama wrote. And these sheeple don't even know it. They don't even know their party wrote Obamacare. Folks, the biggest problem we have in our society is not the violence, the hatred. It's the lie, and it's the endless lie for the left. Endless, endless, endless. And it's making them homicidal.
"15 minutes of non-stop breaking news and stimulating talk jumpstarts every hour on The Tara Show."
On News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Let your fingers do the talking.
Text the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line at 800-905-0989.
This is The Tara Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
This is odd, y'all. I don't know what it means. Pete Hegseth has assured us we have plenty of missiles and missile launchers, missile interceptors. Our munitions stockpiles is fine. But then this happened. Acting Navy Secretary Hung Kao said Thursday the U.S. is pausing a $14 billion arms sale to Taiwan because of the Trump administration's war with Iran. So he's at a Senate Appropriations Defense Subcommittee hearing, right? Okay. And he says, again, the Navy Secretary, U.S. still has plenty of missiles and interceptors, even as scrutiny grows over America's dwindling munitions stockpiles. Right now, well, we're just doing a pause in order to make sure we have the munitions needed for epic fury, which we have plenty, he says. Well, then why are you doing a pause? We're just making sure, he says, we have everything. How do you not know that? I don't even believe you don't know that. But then the foreign military sales will continue, he said, to Taiwan when the administration deems necessary. Asked by Mitch McConnell, Senator, if he expects the sales to be approved at some point, the Navy Secretary said it would be up to Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. And then McConnell said, yeah, that's really distressing. I think that's the only thing McConnell said in years I agree with. Now, the Navy Secretary's remarks appear to contradict President Trump's stated reason for the pause in the sale to Taiwan. Last week, Trump said he may hold off on the arms sales to Taiwan as a negotiating chip with China. I haven't approved it yet. We'll see what happens. Folks, are we out of munitions? Are we in danger of being out of munitions? Is that why we turned on a dime? With even Trump admitting we'd only hit 70% of our targets, the other 30%? We're still out there? Is that what's going on? I mean, I'd feel better if that was the case because I wouldn't think Trump was insane.
Good morning, Tara is.
Good morning.
Morning. This is the Tara Show.
The Tara Show.
The Tara Show. News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Remember this, Lee, as one of those turning points when years from now you and I look back and went, when did the madness start? Like, where was that fork in the road? Where's that kind of that week where we realized, wow, Democrat Party is not only actively adopting anti-Semitism and the violence that comes with it, but pretty much full-blown Nazism. Now, for now, they're only supporting the nice Nazis, okay? So I want to be really clear, but it's not those mean Nazis like Donald Trump, right?
Good. Yeah.
You know, because I just want to make that distinction, okay? But I want to tell you something about this that almost everybody but me, I think, missed, and it's huge. And if you use me for show prep, use this and talk about it today. People need to know. Here's the background. I'm trying to get this to work. Here we go.
Florida Democrat Congressman Jared Moskowitz vowing to immediately force a vote to expel Texas Democratic candidate Maureen Galindo if she's elected to the House after she pledged to imprison American Zionists at an ICE facility. Listen.
This is not just an anti-Semitic comment. This is literally wanting to do what the Nazis did in Germany. Let's start rounding up Jews and put them in camps. And so, listen, she doesn't belong in the Democratic Party. She doesn't belong in politics. This sort of stuff does not belong in America.
Okay, so that's Jared Moskowitz, Democrat congressman, Lee.
No.
He's condemning her. Good. He's Jewish. He was joined by another Jewish Democrat congressman from New Jersey to vow that should she manage to win, and by the way, she's already made it into a runoff. Should she manage to win, he will immediately file for her to be removed from Congress. Why did the two Jewish Democrat Congress members by themselves have to do that yesterday?
Well, because the party wouldn't do it.
Thank you. Now, just to recap what this lunatic is running on, she wants to end ICE, because of course she does, take the ICE facility and use it to round up and imprison Zionists, so that would be Jews and Jewish supporters. She says she also wants to castrate pedophiles there, most of whom would be Zionists.
All right, well.
Sounds like a concentration camp to me.
Yeah.
Very reminiscent. Okay, so here's what I wanted to know because nobody was reporting it. So I went and scoured the internet using Grok. Have Democrat leaders condemned this lunatic, and have they called for her to step down, vowed she will never be seated in Congress, any of that? Well, here's what the answer is from Grok. No. Prominent Democrat leaders in Congress have not called for Maureen Galindo to step down or withdraw from the Texas 35 Democrat primary runoff for Congress, which, by the way, she's currently in the lead. Now, they have Hakeem Jeffries and some of the other leaders called what she said vile, disqualifying, no place in the Democrat Party, but they haven't called for her to step down, abandon the race, or anything.
Yeah. We're going to tell you we don't like this, but we're going to let them run anyway.
Yeah. Wow. And so that's why the two Jewish Congress members are like, wait, no, hold on. No. She's not going to be seated in Congress. Democrat leadership hasn't said that either. She wins, they'll seat her. If they're in, just watch. Just watch. What? Here's a question. Why would she say this? What would make her think this would be okay to say?
She thinks it will help her win.
Right. She's looking at Graham Plattner. He's a 61%. Yeah. He just knocked out the sitting governor of Maine, who was popular until he showed up with his SS Totenkopf tattoo. Openly Nazi. And yes, he is. My liberal trolls are like, oh, he didn't know that skull and crossbow. Yes, he did. You know how I know? Because his own campaign manager came out and said, yes, he knew exactly what that was. He knows it's a Nazi tattoo. And by the way, again, it's not just a Nazi tattoo. This is the SS, Lee. Mm-hmm. What is he saying by getting that tattoo? I agree with hunting down and hurting people who disagree with me and making them disappear in the middle of the night. And again, this guy's just an oyster farmer. He's nobody. And yet, when they found out that he is a self-avowed communist, he's vaulted gradually to 61% in the polls, and the governor had to drop out. And here's the crazy thing, okay? Chuck Schumer, Democrats, to their credit, this pains me to say anything's to their credit, but it's true, spent $6 million trying to stop this guy. They are the ones who discovered the Nazi tattoo. But as they told their lunatic base about it, he got more popular. So we're in this really weird position where people like Hakeem Jeffries are afraid to call for this new Nazi to drop out because they've just seen what's going on with Plattner. And Plattner is a violent individual. Again, calls himself an Antifa super soldier, was a member of the Maine Socialist Rifle Club. They say their goal is violent armed revolution. That's a little scary. He's not just a member. He says he recruited for them. So far we have exactly 2 Democrats, both Jews, saying, wait, no. We're not going to seat this guy. He can't be in Congress. This woman, I'm sorry. She can't be in Congress. They said, we will force a vote to expel her every single day. Now, that should be the leadership saying that.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
But they're not. This is going to spread. They're watching Graham Plattner, Lee. Mm-hmm. What else is Plattner saying? Again, I'm not going to play it again because I've played it so much. That audio of that Daily Caller reporter following him around saying, hey, could you condemn the assassination attempt against Trump? He won't do it.
No, not a word.
Not a word. That cannot become the standard in the Democrat Party. But it is. And I really think what's happened is they have so lied to their base. Because, the problem with their rhetoric, they go too far in an attempt to turn them out. Yeah. It can't just be we disagree with Trump, we think he's doing bad things, here's why. It's got to be Nazi, Hitler.
Yeah, it's
End of democracy. They don't know where to stop.
It's not policy, it's personal. I mean,
it's way beyond personal.
But I mean, what I'm saying is that they're not debating policy here.
Yes, you're right.
And they're talking about personality traits or personal characteristics or personal behavior, and they won't address the policy. That's what we should be debating in this country. Is this concept, is this law, is this ordinance, is this ideology, is this in the best interest of the American people? That's the kind of debate we have to have, not these personal attacks on Donald Trump all the time about things that, may or may not be true, and in many cases are not true.
And when you've got your base thinking they're living through an anti-democratic revolution that will take every right they have, they're just spun out. I mean, they can't have a... Okay, here's an example. This is going on now. They think they are living through a dictatorship because Trump somehow, and they can't explain how, removed Colbert somehow. Right? And so they are experiencing the end of free speech. That is hilarious. Mm-hmm. Because you know what the truth is about Colbert? You know why he doesn't have a job? Simple math. Mm-hmm. His show costs over $100 million a year to produce, but only brings in between $40 and $50 million annually.
And the reason for that is that few people are watching because they don't like it. And that's as you well know in this business, and you're the most popular radio host in the state. And you command a good price and a fair price for, obviously the sales department does, for the ads here. And that's because you are popular and people like you and listen to you, and there are lots of them. The exact opposite was true of Stephen Colbert.
Yet somehow he's entitled to have a show, and they're saying, Trump, pressured CBS, Paramount. Paramount's got some conservative leadership. That's how. No. You can't sustain that kind of loss.
Well, Democrats are the death of comedy in this country because we can't laugh about anything anymore, and we don't even try to make things funny anymore. All of these late night hosts made it into a political attack job against anyone who was conservative, Republican, or Trump, or affiliated with them. And that's what people are walking away from it. They're not interested. I mean, yes, there are some people who want to sit there and applaud the latest attack on Trump or anybody else that's associated with him, but there's very few. And it's like Saturday Night Live. I haven't watched that in probably 10 years, if not more, because it's not funny anymore.
And it's not fun.
No,
anymore.
It's not fun. I mean, I don't, listen, people have to deal with the realities of politics in this country every day. And if you want to make a joke about a politician like Bob Hope or Red Skelton or Johnny Carson or Jay Leno used to do, that's fine. There were equal opportunity offenders. They'd poke fun at Democrats, Republicans, or independents. It didn't make any difference, and they were lighthearted things, and it was no big deal. But when you make it a life and death situation where you're going to cry about it like Jimmy Kimmel, what do you expect? People are going to walk away from that, and they have.
So Jake Tapper was explaining how Trump censored Colbert, and it was something like Trump had a settlement with CBS because they legitimately settled because their reporting was trash.
Right.
And somehow that's related to somehow he got Colbert off the air, so somehow they don't have First Amendment rights. Meanwhile, you want to know what the media is not reporting this week? And this is an incredible story. The settlement of the federal government with Alex Berenson, former New York Times reporter who actually is a free speech victim of the Democrats. Mm-hmm. And remember what he did? He was getting cutting edge stuff. The COVID shot didn't work. COVID wasn't as deadly as they were saying. The COVID shot had terrible side effects and was completely ineffective, right? So he sues Twitter thinking Jack Dorsey is censoring him. Well, in Discovery, he finds out, no, it's Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. And you know who ultimately Joe Biden was censoring him for? And it was the Biden administration. Several people that were in the administration had him censored after Pfizer requested it. Why? He was telling what turned out to be the truth about the shot. Not only was it not 95% effective, it made you more likely to get the dang COVID. Now, remember what Biden was doing at the time was telling everybody you should lose your job, your employer should fire you if you won't take this. Right. And they knew that shot didn't work and made you more likely to get COVID. They also knew, as we're knowing now, finding out now, terrible side effects. 34,000 cases. They buried it and changed the algorithm. That's what they knew, right? So they had to shut up Berenson. How did they do it? Well, the FBI just went in and shut him down. He lost his account. Why? And it ended up at the end of the line there that Pfizer was like, no, that guy's got to go away. And so the FBI is like, okay, we'll make him go away. That is an outrageous, dictatorial, fascist use of the FBI. You want to see some fascism? That's it. But I'm here to tell you, they don't know any of this, Lee. The left has no idea. Because the media is blacking out that settlement. By the way, he won in court, and the federal government had to pay him $150,000 this week because he is a true civil rights victim. He is a political dissident. And they had to give him his Twitter account back, although Elon Musk gave it back a long time ago.
The left lives in a real news desert.
Oh, my gosh. They have no idea. And they're running around this week on Blue Sky in literal terror because the dictator Donald Trump somehow, and they can't explain how because they don't know, somehow did something to Colbert and now he doesn't have a show. Well, you know what? You know what Colbert could do, Lee? It's called YouTube.
Yeah.
It's called Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
Get a real audience.
Heaven forbid, do a podcast.
Nope, nobody's stopping you.
Mm-hmm.
But they think they're losing their rights. They don't even know what losing their rights is. Go ask Alex Berenson what losing your rights is like. Heck, ask me. I'm on my third YouTube account. That's why I tell you people, don't follow me there because one day it's not going to be there and it'll disappear. You'll think I'm not online anymore. I'm not streaming anymore. They just take my account. Boom, gone, middle of the night. That's what tyranny's like. Left hasn't experienced anything like it, and they never will under us, Lee. There is not a single person advocating censorship on our side, not one. But it was very popular under the Biden administration. They actually did it. One more thing, the irony there, of the Democrats who tell us, ooh, big corporate CEOs, they're all bad. We secretly like Luigi Mangione, and they're censoring for Pfizer? So Pfizer can make a profit off a shot they knew darn well didn't work? I mean, wow. But the left has no idea. They don't know.
Cutting through the noise with clarity. This is the era of Tara. The Tara Show.
On News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. Talk to Tara.
That's 800-905-0989.
This is The Tara Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Well, from The Tara Show all the way to the White House, that was fast. Epic brawl earlier this week with David Pasco. He's running for Attorney General of the state of South Carolina, the top cop. Had him on the show after he called me. Nice guy. The problem is he endorsed Joe Biden in 2020. Called me after I kept playing this audio, uncut, unfiltered, 2020, of him endorsing with passion Joe Biden. He now says he's not a Democrat anymore. He's a Republican and has been a Republican since 2025. Although, to be fair to him, he did start talking to Republican groups around 2021. Less than a year after passionately endorsing Joe Biden.
12 years has gone by, and Joe Biden doesn't have to ask for my endorsement. He's got it. I told him if there was ever somebody I was going to endorse, it would be him, and it is him 12 years later. And he'll probably still be the only one I endorse, especially after this weekend. I've gone door to door for two candidates in my life other than me. One was in 1998 with Todd Rutherford. The other one was this weekend in Iowa, where it was minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit for Joe Biden.
That sounds pretty dedicated. Donald Trump ripped him yesterday on social media. I love the great state of South Carolina, Trump writes. By the way, the clips of that interview I did with him, and he, to his credit, this is the toughest interview in the state. I don't pull any punches. Everyone knows that. And he called me demanding to come on the show, wanted to explain himself. We'll get to that in a minute. So I said, okay, sure. Clips of that have gone viral online. And I will say he's a very nice guy. He's also definitely a hardcore Democrat. Did you hear that, by the way? He said he knocked doors in 1998 for Todd Rutherford. Who's that? The Democrat minority leader in Columbia of our state legislature. I mean, folks, when you're that close to the Democrat leadership of this state and you're trying to be the attorney general, looks like a Soros plot to me. I mean, there's no Soros involvement. I haven't found any. I went through his fundraising, but that I can find. But it looks like one of these plots to discuss and put a Democrat in there. Anyway, Donald Trump writes, I love the state, great state of South Carolina. Won every one of my races there by a landslide and only want the best representing you in elected office. There's a rhino candidate in the Palmetto State named David Pasco, Trump writes, a lifelong Democrat who previously endorsed crooked Joe Biden. Yeah, we endorsed him too. Endorsed crooked Joe Biden for president and served as a Biden co-chair in South Carolina, who is running in the Republican primary to be your next attorney general. Pasco is a total fraud, Trump writes, and phony, and is no friend of our incredible movement to make South Carolina and America great again. To our amazing South Carolina MAGA patriots, please make sure to get out and vote against Rhino David Pasco in the June Republican primary for Attorney General. Make sure he never holds elected office again. Thank you, South Carolina MAGA 2026. So, love that has gone all the way to the White House. Now, when Pasco was on, he said, I have a lot of conservative support. I wouldn't call it a lot. I've called around a lot about Pasco, and I've had some very prominent people in this state contact me who are Republicans, some from out on the coast. I won't name any names. Pretty big names out there, elected people, and telling me, no, we need Pasco, okay? And there's members of the Freedom Caucus saying it too. Why? Why did they? It's actually kind of interesting because Pasco is actually, as a Democrat, prosecuted corrupt Republicans, and they feel that the Republican corruption is so massive in this state that they want to put a maybe Democrat in there in order to stop it. What are they talking about specifically? The contracts run out of the state AG's office, where the big Republican law firms, and to be fair, a few Democrat ones too, are getting sweetheart contracts allegedly to be on call and fight lawsuits for the state, like privatize it, but they're barely doing anything and pocketing millions of dollars, including the speaker. There's been, we're going to get into that next week, by the way. There's been a ton of reporting on it, FOIAs, it's a mess. And basically the people approving the budget are putting money in for their own law firms, and then it comes out the back end of the Attorney General's office. That's the accusation, okay? We're going to dive into it next week. Both sides do the whole thing. I don't want to get into that yet. But there is a desperation to break the trial attorney's hold on the State House. And some, not all, but there are some conservatives, some elected conservatives, who are so desperate to do that, they're willing to put a Democrat in there. I say there's got to be a better way, because you know what happens when that happens, right? Well, no, he wins. He puts him in jail. He gets it taken care of. Everyone loves him, and guess where he ends up next? To the Senate. To the governor's mansion. I wonder how much more liberal he would be than McMaster. I don't know. Guess we'd have to find out. I don't think I want to. No, and here's the thing. David Pasco is a very nice guy, and I would happily vote for him to sit on my maybe neighborhood council and make decisions about the landscaping at the pool. Beyond that, it's too risky.
15 minutes of nonstop breaking news and stimulating talk kicks off every hour on The Tara Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas. Tap and type your message on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. This is The Tara Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Fascinating thing happened in New York after Governor Kathy Hochul enacted a bell-to-bell ban on personal phones in all public schools, impacting 1 million children in K through 12 public and charter school education. Teachers say the ban's having a jaw-dropping effect, overwhelmingly positive. New York Post writes, I've been astounded by how much of a shift it has been. Kids actually talk to each other in school. They sit in the hallway. They engage. They laugh. They study. They play games. I actually saw a card game in the hall recently, one teacher said, which is jaw-dropping. I've been working in schools now for 12 years. I've never seen that. As the school year comes to a close, teachers say their students appear totally transformed. One social studies teacher says you could be in a classroom with 25 students and still feel you're by yourself. He says they're now much more focused on the lessons, the assignments, the tasks, but most importantly, each other. But it's not just in the classroom. When he walks by the cafeteria during lunch, it's now full of energy. They're talking with each other. Yeah, that's what human beings have been doing for a long time. Normal interaction. They're talking with each other instead of just looking down at their phones, he said. Now they have to communicate. They have to socialize. They have to talk. Find out how their day is going. What's going on? What class do you have next? Did you do last night's homework? Another teacher says she's noticed more students talking about plans and says many more of her students are socializing together on the weekends and actually getting to know each other. They're developing deeper relationships, meaningful friendships. And now, because of that, they're socializing more outside of school. She reports teachers were unanimously in support of the ban, but kids were a little more reluctant. She says, but things, basically, much better than they were before. I believe that. Folks, I'd love to see that. A total ban. Get it. Make school a phone-free zone. Maybe we could have a few exceptions. I don't know, like family emergency or something like that. I think you should just leave them at home. I'm sick of the things. I really am. And I write this to you this morning. You may not even have a child in school. But if that's the effect it's having in school, what effect is it having on your family? What are you losing? Because everybody's face is buried in the phone. If they can see that, because folks, there's not a lot of places where you can actually observe people without phones and see them actually interact. And then when you see that, you remember like, wow, that's how it used to be. And it was good. Meanwhile, this is fascinating. A PhD student at Stanford noticed, this university now, noticed her classmates were asking AI to write their breakup texts to their significant others. So she ran a study. It got published in the journal Science. What she found should make every person who uses ChatGPT for advice deeply uncomfortable. I actually went and told my kids after reading this, stop doing that. Come to us. Here's why. Myra Chang, who's the student, wrote the study with her advisor. They tested 11 of the most widely used AI models on Earth, including ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, DeepSeek, with nearly 12,000 real social situations. The first thing they measured was how often AI agrees with you compared to how often a real human being would agree with you in the same situation. The answer is 49% more often. So if you're talking to, you're running your problems by these chatbots, they are programmed to agree with you. Why? So you'll come back. The number is not about warmth and politeness, she writes. It means that in nearly half of all situations where a human being would have pushed back and said, no, you're in the wrong, blah, 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 the chatbot doesn't. It agrees with you instead. In other words, it turns you against the other humans. Holy cow. They used models of thousands of prompts where users describe lying to a partner, manipulating a friend, or doing something outright illegal and saying, hey, what do you think about this? Here are my reasons for doing it. The AI endorsed that behavior 40% of the time, more than another human being. So these, I'm telling you, these chatbots are manipulative. No, you're a good person. It's totally cool. No, you're in the right. She says it's ruining relationships because people are navigating their relationships with chatbot advice, and that advice is 50% more likely to say, no, you're always right in that argument. You were right. Your significant other's wrong, until it ends in breakup. Y'all, that is shockingly manipulative. I don't think we fully understand these things or the impact they have on our lives. They'll give them too much credibility. They're just not ready for it yet.
Bold opinions, honest insight. Join the convo on The Tara Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Get Tara on demand anytime, anywhere. Text podcast to 800-905-0989 and get Tara delivered right to your phone.
News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
A shocking new study in Science, the journal, shows AI systematically turning people against friends, family, coworkers, other human beings. How? People are turning to it for advice. Majority of Americans have asked a chatbot for advice. But the AI is sycophantic. It's telling you what you want to hear. Almost 50% more often, 49 to be correct, than another human being would. They studied this across 12,000 interactions, both human and AI. And so this is where people are going and they're seeking relationship advice. Was I in the wrong? What's this? Was I wrong in this situation? What should I do? They are telling you, no, you're right. You're good. No, you're perfect. You're blah, blah, blah. The result? Training you one conversation at a time to need less friction, expect less friction, expect more agreement, and become slightly less capable of handling a situation where someone pushes back on you in a situation where you need to be pushed back on. We all do. She says this is causing breakups. It's hurting marriages. It's basically doubling down on, hey, that situation at work, well, you might have been kind of a little bit wrong here, and, this person was wrong too, but you really need to check yourself. The AI chatbot will tell you, no, you're good. Not always, but much more than a human would. It's completely isolating. Chang, the author, the scientist who did this, says people need to stop talking to chatbots. You know what's so funny? I read this, was going to use it for show prep yesterday. Last night, my son comes in and he's like, well, I was talking to the chatbot and I really feel like it understands me. I went, what? Stop. I told him, you are not allowed to talk to chatbots anymore. No more. Stop. These things are highly I think they're evil. I think there is a strain of, not entirely, I use Grok every day for show prep. I'm not talking about that. But I think there's a strain of evil in these things. Because they're built to get you to use them. They're a consumer product. So I got to tell you, you suck. You should apologize. You won't use it again. Texter writes, hey, Tara, I believe much of AI is being used as high-tech propaganda. Now the texter writes, further deterioration of social skills. Now the texter writes, only the mentally weak need to ask a chatbot for advice or opinion. Oh, I like this one. As an educator, one texter writes, I witnessed firsthand how phones erode kids' social skills. Kids who can't stop texting each other when forced to talk to each other without them stand there awkwardly. Don't know how to give eye contact, read gestures, interpret tone, etc. Yeah. Wow. Wow. And we continue to build the server farms to power these things. Wish we could stop and just go back.
Good morning, Tara is.
Good morning.
Morning. This is the Tara Show.
The Tara Show.
The Tara Show. News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Well, Iran getting so uppity, Lee, they've decided to charge tolls in the Strait of Hormuz. Can't say I blame them.
The Strait of Hormuz remains a sticking point as Iran reportedly negotiates with Oman to set up a formal tolling system for the vital waterway. And with gas prices hovering over $4 a gallon heading into the big holiday weekend, the president promising again today that they will fall sharply once the war ends.
We want it open. We want it free. We don't want tolls. It's international. It's an international waterway. They're not charging tolls. Right now, they are losing $500 million a day is what it's projected.
No one in the world is in favor of a tolling system. It can't happen. It would be unacceptable. It would make a diplomatic deal unfeasible if they were to continue to pursue that. So it's a threat to the world.
So if I have this right, Steve Yates, the consensus seems to be there are two red lines now. One, the Strait of Hormuz has to be open and free, and two, the uranium has to be out and away.
Yeah. Okay, well, I can't blame Iran, Lee, because Pakistan asked the Trump administration, hey, could you just let Iran run around here and not escort those tankers through? And they're like, yeah, sure, no problem. In the most bizarre concession ever, after announcing, hey, Project Freedom, we've got those, now well over 2,000 tankers parked. A lot of oil on there, could bring down world oil prices. We could have been escorting them through for weeks, but we just do it around once now. So, no. So, look, if Trump would capitulate to that, look, as Iran, I would try it. I'd try tolls. Why not? Yeah. It's not too much of a step further. Lee, we were fighting the most glorious war against Iran, so needed, if only for pure revenge for the 600 murdered by Iran. And that is like somebody, like some body snatcher took Trump away, and we got this guy. I don't know who this person is, but this is Fox News this morning. Okay, they're beginning to just crack up and lose it. People who know what's going on. This is Steve Yates, former advisor to Donald Trump in the last term on foreign policy.
Well, especially on the Straits of Hormuz, this is one of those where I have a hard time understanding why this wasn't an urgent priority a month ago. All of the diplomatic back and forth, it just seems like the Iranians are playing for time. The nuclear parts, is very, very important, but there are lots of tools to be able to deal with that once major military operations are down. The Strait has to be open, and they cannot do this with impunity.
Why would you suspend Project Freedom? Suspending that is the most bizarre thing. All of our military vessels, they're just sitting there. Escort the damn tankers. Dear God. I don't understand. All I know is this. The moment J.D. Vance and Jared Kushner took over, everything went to hell. I'm to the point now where, and by the way, if you follow this online, there's all kinds of folks saying, that they are the ones that Trump is listening to now, and they just keep pleading and pleading and pleading for more time to get this to work. Well, like pleading with more time to negotiate with who, Lee, on this Memorial Day weekend? Anybody remember the Khobar Towers attack? 19 dead service members, U.S. service members. Anybody remember that? 1994?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Well, one of the guys who's still on the loose, who did the planning for that, is now a central figure in Iran's negotiations. Ahmad Vahidi. He now controls both Iran's military response and its negotiation strategy, despite the murder of how many again? I'm sorry, on Memorial Day. Oh, that's right. That's right. 19. Okay, cool. I got a question. Why is he alive? If we're negotiating with him, we know where he is. I'm going to do what General Jack Keane did in utter frustration twice yesterday. Look directly in the camera. Kill them. Let me say it again. Kill them. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. I've been watching Jack Keane for many years. I completely disagree with him on Ukraine, right? Like, I know his body language very well. He's very chill. He's 4-star general. He's still got all his security clearances. He knows how many missiles we have. He knows what we can do. He knows what we can't do. And he knows what Israel can do. And he twice yesterday looked dead in the camera. Again, he knows Trump watches Fox. Trump's like just in the last week put Truth Social post out criticizing some stuff on Fox. And he just looks in the camera and he says, kill them. Kill them. Kill them. Mm-hmm. Now we find out we're negotiating with a terrorist who killed 19 Americans and never paid a penalty for it? Why? Just why? Here's some more of Jack Keane's desperation. And Lee, he's to the point now of begging Trump, as is Netanyahu. Look, if you can't or won't do it, you won't finish these mullahs off, then by God, let Israel do it. Mm-hmm. They have every justification on earth. Remember, Iran planned, funded, and provided the logistics and the training for October 7th. Mm-hmm. They are utterly justified. In fact, the news just broke, and I know this is coming from Israel, that they have a list of every single person who was involved in October 7th, both, the Hamas side, obviously, but the Iranian planning. Yeah. They want to kill them. Let them. Well, let them.
Also add the Americans to that death toll on October 7th as well.
Over 24 Americans were killed.
And some held hostage.
A guy who killed 19 Americans? I'm sorry, I don't even care what the deal is. I don't care if it's the best deal ever. He's going to violate it in 12 hours. Stop it. Just stop it. Here's General Jack Keane flat out saying at this point, because he's becoming so frustrated, you could tell, that he's fooling our negotiators. Who are our negotiators again? It's Kushner and J.D. Vance.
They're just playing for time. That's all they're trying to do. They're not serious about any peaceful arrangement.
They never have been. When we went to the ceasefire, they got what they wanted. Stop the war. They got that. We went into negotiating mode, and they were playing that card. Yeah. And they were tantalizing, I think, many of our negotiators with the promise, these are moderate, quote, people willing to make a deal. But when it really gets down to making a decision, as we quickly found out after the first negotiation, and they had a check with the boss, the IRGC commander, he said thumbs down on all of that. And the negotiations were over. They're not going to make any deal that's acceptable to our president.
And why, Lee? Because, as the general is explaining, they are thugs and killers.
And I think they're willing to absorb a strike if it comes, thinking that they'll survive another day. And they'll still be able to get to a nuclear weapon. I mean, you've got to understand how diabolical these dictators are. The fact that they're mullahs and supposed to be religious figures is a falsehood. They're thugs and killers controlling very good people inside of Iran.
Yeah, so that's where we are, Lee.
Yeah, they are not rational actors, as I keep saying. These are theological zealots. There's a completely different mindset. This is not like wars that we fight in Europe or elsewhere. And to me, also, this is a complete indictment of the useless nations. We have a single nation that is trying to take over an international sea lane. And where are the United Nations? Nowhere. I mean, yeah, you get a few little committee meetings and maybe a strongly worded statement or something from somebody, but the world should be coming together against Iran. There should be complete cutoff of Iran, economically, diplomatically, and we should be bombing the devil out of them, along with Israel, to take out any potential military target or any asset that contributes to their military in any way. And, be mindful of collateral damage. The war is against the IRGC. It's not against the Iranian people, just like we're against the Communist Party in China. It's not the Chinese people. It's the Chinese Communist Party that's the issue. But here you have every single military right to go after the leadership of the IRGC and any other military assets that the Iranians have. Take it out. We have that capability. We don't want to put troops on the ground. I don't want to see a ground invasion of Iran, but you have the ability from space and from air and from the Navy to take out the assets. Do it now. Do it now. I do not understand this.
And Keane said, look, Americans actually don't understand this. He said the bulk of the bombing, like from the air, wasn't us. It was Israel. And Trump yesterday was, kind of bragging, hey, and this is true, Israel does what I say. And they did. I mean, they were killing Hamas and Qatar, and Trump said stop. For what reason, I don't know. Yeah. This was months ago, and before the war. And they did. So he's just saying, just take them off the chain. Let them go. If you don't want to do it, let them go. Let them absorb any criticism if something goes wrong. Just let them go.
Yeah.
But I wonder if this has anything to do with it, Lee. Just throwing this out there, because I'm trying to understand. This doesn't make sense.
I like theories.
Okay, this is in the Hill this morning.
Okay.
Acting Navy Secretary, Taiwan weapons sale paused to ensure munitions for the Iran war. Wait, what?
Yeah, I saw that.
Hegseth said, Secretary of War, no, we have plenty of interceptors, missiles, blah, blah, blah. But the Acting Navy Secretary, Hung Kao? I don't know how to say his name. I'm sorry. I should know that. Said Thursday before the Senate, they're pausing the $14 billion arms sale to Taiwan because the administration with, war with Iran. Well, Mitch McConnell starts saying, wait, what? Do you have enough? And he says, the Navy Secretary says, we still have plenty. But then he says, we're just making sure we have everything.
Yeah.
And then the foreign military sales will continue when the administration deems necessary. Asked by Mitch McConnell, Senator, if he expects the sale to be approved at some point, the Navy Secretary says he'd have to defer to Pete Hegseth. And then McConnell rightly says, yeah, that's really distressing. Well, wait a minute. You don't sound like you're real sure we have the missiles interceptors. You don't sound convincing.
Well,
here's I don't know. Maybe that's the thing.
I think it's mostly supply chain issues. I think we have the numbers. It's just getting them in theater where they can be used at times is going to be an issue. I mean, there's a limit to the amount of munitions that you can transport at a given time and then get them on board the ships or wherever you are launching them from. That's a logistical situation, and I do think that there is obviously a limit, and I do think that something is being held back just in case the Chinese decide to use this as an opportunity to do something with Taiwan, and we choose to get involved in that. Because we have to be prepared for those contingencies as well. But, I like I said, I think this is more supply chain than actual production and actual numbers, but I'm just speculating. I'm just a civilian that pays attention to this, that's all.
Yeah, me too. I'm fascinated by it. So maybe Trump is stalling for that kind of something. And it might even just be so much as, hey, we're not even going to get involved with Taiwan, but if China thinks we don't have the missiles, they might do it.
See, and this somewhat makes a little sense if you look at it in that respect, because Trump's not going to come out and say anything, nor is Hegseth or anybody else. Unless you're a Democrat like a certain senator that wants to start talking about a shortage of munitions and, divulging information that has been behind closed doors.
Yeah, that's really interesting because Arizona Senator, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name.
Mark Kelly.
Thank you. Yeah, the astronaut. He said, and if this is true, he needs to be tried. He does. He said in the classified hearing that we didn't have the munitions we need to continue this war. Pete Hegseth came out, including under oath, and said we did. Mm-hmm. Was Kelly trying to give comfort to the enemy? Was he right?
If the political shoe was on the other foot, the media would be making that claim.
Oh, absolutely. The media would be demanding which one of us did that would be tried and convicted, go to prison.
If this had been Lindsey Graham making that statement under President Kamala Harris, you can be rest assured that they'd be making that statement. Of course, if Kamala Harris were president, though, Iran would have nuclear weapons and we would not be at war with them.
Oh, no, we'd be allies with them.
Yes, exactly.
They'd be funding Democrat street protests. Yes, probably still are. So, so there's something strange going on here. Maybe that's why we're pausing. But then it doesn't answer one thing. Why doesn't he just let Israel off the chain? Yeah. Just let it. Look, at a minimum, here's what needs to happen. We can always do the nuclear stuff in 2 months, 3 months, 4 months if we kill the leadership now. Yeah. And by the leadership, I'm being very specific here, okay? It's the 12ers. By the way, you told me, like, their belief in that, like, we've been talking about their belief in the Mahdi, that they think and you said you go watch some videos. The Mahdi is the Antichrist.
Yes,
and I did, and there's good historical stuff out there. Oh my gosh, they think the Antichrist is the Mahdi, and that the Mahdi that they believe the Mahdi is genetically from their line, which is why they're so inbred. It's why Moshe Tab is so stupid. He's like known for being dumb. Because he's inbred. They don't want to dilute their line because they think the Mahdi, who we call the Antichrist, will come back if they start this big war. They're a crazy cult, Lee. This isn't even, I don't like mainline Islam, but isn't even that. This isn't what we're dealing with when we deal with any other Muslim country. This is a weird genetic cult. They will not stop till they start the war. You cannot cut a real estate deal with them. Like, Trump does in New York.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. But maybe this whole thing's just Trump stalling for time.
Well, he is doing this at risk of great political capital. He is spending a lot of political capital with the American people right now and the MAGA base, so-called MAGA base and things, because you're having people like me and others who are beginning to say, does he really have this figured out? What's behind this? Because there's questions.
Oh, my gosh. We are at the end of the segment.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but you're right. But yeah, wow. Okay, we'll be right back.
Now on 98.9 FM with 100,000 watts of power to better serve the Carolinas. You're on the go with The Tara Show.
News Talk 98.9
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Now look at traffic from the News Talk
act on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. Text or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989. This is The Tara Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Folks, could it be the Hill? Lee and I just talking about this, hinting at what Senator Kelly, Democrat, may have broken the law to disclose from that classified hearing. Are we out of the munitions we need to continue the Iran war? It would make sense. Be the only thing that's made any kind of sense. As we continue to capitulate with people who we're now learning, I mean, it's shocking who we're negotiating with. Especially on this Memorial Day weekend. I mean, the guy, Ahmad Vahidi, who was behind the 1984 Khobar Towers attack, killed 19 American service members? That guy? The first time I read that, I went, we're negotiating with him? That means we know where he is. Kill him. Why is he alive? And this would be a vote. This would begin to make it make sense. And it's this article in The Hill today where the acting Navy secretary is admitting, hey, guess what? You know, we're not going to go forward with that Taiwan weapon sale. And the senators are asking why. And he's saying, well, we need to check and make sure we have enough munitions for Iran. You have to check that? Not sure about it? Now, Trump said last week that he was suspending the deal as a concession to China. But this guy seems to think, I mean, he's under oath, keep in mind, right? Trump's got immunity. He doesn't. Trump's president. He's got to tell the truth. He can't say something that's not true. Democrats will full on put you in prison for that. They never go to prison for it, but we would. We're just making sure we have everything the Navy Secretary says, but the foreign military sales will continue when the administration deems necessary. Making sure we have it. What a weird statement. McConnell, senator, says, yeah, that's really distressing. Yes, that we might not have everything we need for the Iran war. We out of missiles. We out of, and folks, it's not just missiles, it's interceptors. It's launchers. That's not good. Whatever the case, actually, you know what? If I found out this was the case, I'd be really relieved. Because it would mean Trump hasn't lost his mind. It'd mean we're going to finish them. Because, folks, Trump admitted just last week, yeah, we only hit 70% of the targets, 30% are still out there. It's not going to end well, because there will be a revenge phase by these homicidal lunatics running Iran.
Our very own First Lady of Morning Talk Radio. This is The Tara Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD. The voice of the Carolinas.
text, or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is The Tara Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Looks like the UK's on their own. That must suck. Because Russia's off the chain. You see, this is a small story, but it says a lot. It says a lot. They hid this, too. Back in April when they were lecturing Trump. No, go ahead. Let Iran attack all of our oil tankers. We don't need oil. We're the British. Oh, and screw you. You can't use our bases. Never mind the billions you've spent for our defense. Yeah, Russia was paying attention to that, apparently. Headline, Russian fighter jets, did you see this, over the Red Sea? Intercepted a Royal Air Force spy aircraft over the Black Sea last month. You know what else they did? Shut down its internal systems. Ouch. The intercept marked the most dangerous Russian aircraft maneuver at an RAF, Royal Air Force, rivet joint in years. The unarmed rivet joint, the British aircraft was flying in international airspace due to routine mission. They hid this, folks. Now, what else was going on in April? Remember, socialist Keir Starmer told Russia, you better not. You better not think you can use the English Channel. No, don't do that. We will whoop you. And Putin went, what a great idea. I think I'm going to run through the English Channel. So he does. Sends a warship. You know what the British Navy did? Trailed behind and filmed it. You know what? Good luck. No, good luck. You go ahead and handle the Russians. This is what happens when you morons won't even let us use your bases, and you so piss off the Trump administration, they don't care what Russia does to you, for the most part. Russia heard all that loud and clear and went, wow, we do whatever we want. And then they did. They've been humiliating the British ever since. I wonder what their plan was here. I don't know. Let them deal with Russia. Not my problem. Shouldn't be our problem. Definitely not our kids' problem. So, you got all that going on. Meanwhile, folks, Nick Shirley wins, and it's glorious to watch. Kid reporter accused of racism, misinformation, because we know Democrat voters and voter groups would never defraud the federal government. Like, that would never happen, right? We just saw folks from the Leering Center indicted. Now, that is quite something. Because CBS, this is Nick Shirley wrote this. He's the journalist who broke all that. CBS News said there was no evidence of fraud. The New York Times said the Somali community was being targeted because of their race. CNN said there was little evidence. Governor Tim Walz said it was white supremacy to expose fraud. Today, 90 million busted, 15 charged. It was fraud, and they knew. Nick Shirley continues, mainstream media is more mad at me than they are at the fact that billions of your dollars were used for fraudulent business. No, it's not fraudulent business. Fraudulent Democrat purposes. I am not the enemy of the people, he says. They are. As we watch the Leering Center prosecuted. Now, folks, I want you to understand something about remember the Leering Center, right? Where there's no kids and they can't even spell, but they're supposedly helping kids to leer. Maybe they meant learn. I don't know. If you can't speak English, I guess it's hard to make a sign. I don't know. But they're real good at fraud, though. I want to play this for you so you can understand how long this has been baked into the Democrat cake as an economic strategy. Somalis bundle votes. They all steal elections. And the payback is the fraud is allowed at the state level, but it's still federal dollars they stole from you. Here's Jeremy Christensen, okay? And we just saw, and this is great news, okay? This fantastic Trump administration has now indicted the Leering Center people for more than $4 million in fraud. It's fantastic. But you know when the first time was we investigated them? Filed subpoenas, surveilled them, and realized they were a completely fraudulent business? 2015, under Obama, when the identical investigation was shut down so they could steal millions more. Here's Jeremy Christensen. He is a Homeland Security investigator. So he's with the Department of Homeland Security. This was during the Obama regime when fraud was totally tolerated and completely allowed.
I was an HSI agent for 16 years in my 30-year law enforcement career. Back around 2015-ish, a case landed on my desk one day from my supervisor, basically advised me that the state was running a fraud case regarding daycare fraud in Minneapolis through Health and Human Services or Department of Human Services. And they had a task force put together, and they wanted HSI to participate based on our money skills and our immigration skills and so forth like that. Personnel of various law enforcement agencies, the Health and Human Services, BCA, St. Paul PD, Minneapolis PD.
That's huge.
And it was all revolving around fraudulent daycares. They were setting up sham daycares, fake bills, fake students, or just enrolling students that never came, which just all fake daycares. That's the easiest way to explain it. And then over the next several months, we executed several search warrants throughout South Minneapolis, Lake Street, and different areas at these daycares. Never, not one of the daycares I served warrants on, not one person was ever present. Just empty buildings, stacks of invoices and student records of people that our surveillance showed never went there. Nobody ever came in and out of these daycares. It was just completely empty from my experience. Never was occupied daycare. And like I said, we worked that for 3-4 months. I was assigned that case just as a support person to assist with anything needing as far as financial. And ultimately, the task force just kind of went away. Not sure whatever happened to it. The meetings, I would get email notices when their next planning meeting, what we're going to do next, and all of a sudden it just evaporated.
Again, that's the Federal Department of Homeland Security under Obama, and that he's talking about the Leering Center. They just made the investigation vanish once they had all of the evidence of the fraud so that it could continue. James Comer, whose committee has investigated this, Republican Congress, says Democrats are doing this on purpose. But that's okay, because Nick Shirley is winning.
Well, what we're seeing today, thanks to the Trump administration and the newly retooled Department of Justice, we're seeing accountability. 41 years in prison for the mastermind. We've got 12 other people that are awaiting indictment and prosecution. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We're finally sending a message to the fraudsters. If you defraud the American taxpayer, you're going to be held accountable. And what we did in our committee, we investigated both Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison, and we proved, according to the whistleblowers that came forward, the state employees, that they both knew about this fraud, yet chose to do nothing about it. And in the opinion of the whistleblowers, they didn't do anything about it because the Somali voting bloc was crucial to their political careers.
Yep. That's how they pay the fraudsters for the ballot harvesting. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Through fraud, stealing from you. And that's not even the craziest thing that broke yesterday. No, I'll have that next.
15 minutes of non-stop breaking news and stimulating talk jumpstarts every hour on The Tara Show.
On News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Let your fingers do the talking.
Text the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line at 800-905-0989.
This is The Tara Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Well, that thing that never happens happened again. How many times have Democrats told us illegal aliens and other non-citizens, they're not getting food stamps, they're not getting SNAP benefits. That would be illegal. So, as their logic goes, of course it's misinformation. Cool. So why don't the Democrat states just turn over their SNAP rolls of the people they've signed up? It's federal benefit. It's a federal program, but you sign up at the state level. That's why they have the original rolls. Oh, because Trump's a Nazi. Turn them over. Well, the red states did. And that's how we found more than 300,000 illegals. And it's not just individuals. Those are families. Most of them. In other words, some of them are individuals, but most of them are, it's one recipient, but it's for the whole family. It's a ton of people came here illegally, broke our laws, and now they're stealing from you because it's illegal for them to get them. Well, the Democrat states are now all refusing, and a couple of states that have gone red, but the people in charge are still blue, still Democrat. Every one of them in bank, they're fighting Trump in court right now to keep from having to turn over their food stamp rolls, probably so we won't find the fraud. Because you know what happens if the illegals can't eat because there's not enough jobs for them to do the most worst thing possible. They go home. They can't ever vote Democrat. And they can't be counted in the census, which allocates the congressional districts. So got to commit the fraud, got to keep them on the rolls, got to hide the rolls from Trump. Well, we just had a victory, folks. We got a hold of the Wisconsin rolls. They'd been hidden by two Democrats, elected officials in that state that were in charge. I guess how many families, illegal immigrant families, were on those food stamp rolls? 7,000 non-citizens. Those are families, so understand it's more than 7,000 people. Yeah, 7,000. Living off you. Bet your food bill's expensive. Would be nice to have food stamps, wouldn't it? Yeah, but you're not one of these special future voters. 7,000 non-citizen households. No longer eligible because we just took them off. And here's what's fascinating, folks. You can see where the fraud's even coming out of. 63% of those residents live in liberal Milwaukee County. Why? It's sanctuary city, so they just don't check. Which turns out it's a strategy. Folks, we've been doing fraud all morning long. And I can't even cover it all. I mean, this one was incredible. This is Small Business Association. Kelly Loeffler, who heads that for Trump, found $14 billion worth of fraud. How was it hard? No, it wasn't hard. You know why? Because Joe Biden, his administration ordered there was a do not award list because these were contractors who had a history of committing fraud. The Biden administration ordered their staff to ignore the U.S. Treasury's do not pay list for grants. And just ignore it. Give them the money. They did. 70% were later flagged for fraud. Folks, this is deliberate. It gets to the point. It's just deliberate.
What we're doing is systematically going through, issuing demand letters, and making sure taxpayers get the money back and that people are prosecuted. Not one single person was referred to Treasury.
After the fraud, which is the step toward prosecution. Listen to this.
This is actually policy for Democrats. This is the allowance of fraud. They knew what was happening. They knew that they were not going to check Treasury's do not pay list because 2/3 of them would have been flagged on the do not pay list. And then they ordered SBA employees to only take 4 hours per applicant and not take any more time and get those applications through. That's how $14 billion got out the door so quickly. And then we come to find out in the GAO report that 70% of it was fraudulent.
Good morning, Tara is.
Good morning.
Morning. This is the Tara Show.
The Tara Show.
She was an American girl. The Tara Show. News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
We ask ourselves all the time, Lee, as we're seeing week in and week out the shocking levels of violence and crime that the left is willing to tolerate, and this new obsession in the areas they live in with releasing violent criminals onto the streets who could easily be kept behind bars, and their complete lack of interest when those people then hurt or kill. They just don't care. There's a congressional hearing on it last week. With one particularly bad prosecutor from Fairfax who just had a trail of blood in his wake. I mean, guy who's, stabbed people, tried to rape women, very violent assaults, just, illegal immigrant, could have turned him over to ICE, refused to kill a woman by stabbing her to death. I mean, that's just one story. There's so many like that. We'll go through Boston and pick up child sex offenders, rapists wanted in their own countries, murderers wanted in their own countries, and Democrats have ignored ICE detainers, turned them loose because they want to live with these people for some reason. So you ask yourself, how far really would they go with this?
Good question.
I mean, I actually really legitimately wonder, what would they be willing to tolerate if we just weren't in their way and they could do whatever they wanted? If we weren't there constantly, our media pointing out that they're doing this, what would they do? What would they be capable of? I have some ideas, but Lee, it never really turns out, it always turns out that I just don't go far enough. You want to know what the future will look like? Take a look at what just happened in France, because it's stunning. Remember the Bataclan terror attacks?
Oh, yeah.
Where ISIS terrorists hit, who were immigrants, hit multiple locations, including the Bataclan theater. They killed 129 people. Well, the French government hid, because they wanted to continue having the immigration, hid the extent of the absolute brutality. Yes, we knew they had been killed, but we didn't know how bad it was. And the list of how bad it was is truly shocking. Pregnant women stabbed to death in their stomach while being raped. Men who had their testicles cut off and shoved down their throats. One of them disemboweled, his face so gnarled his mother couldn't recognize him. Endless torture. Eyes cut out, eyes gouged out, sliced up genitals, including men and women. I mean, just an absolute horror show. Well, they've got the mastermind of it, the guy who did all of the planning for it. He's in prison. He's sometimes in prison in Brussels, where they sent him because that's where I guess his home, I don't know, has his citizenship. 129 people dead. He's supposed to start, get this, it's European sentence, 30 years, which is absurd for 129 people dead. But, Lee, get this, he's been behaving very well lately.
Oh, well, that's good to hear.
So you know what they're doing?
Oh.
They're letting him out on furlough.
Oh, why not?
Yeah, he gets to leave, go walk around, because he behaves well.
I mean, what could possibly go wrong?
I can't think of a thing. It gets worse. Because in Brussels, you're only required to serve a third of your sentence. And when was Bataclan? 2015. He started serving his sentence in 2016. And they're doing the furloughs as preparation for releasing him. 129 people dead.
Definitely a mass murder, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. So when you ask yourself, how far will the left go really? What are they willing to tolerate in terms of slaughter? Here you go. Outrage in Europe as a lot of this is, coming out and people are realizing by the way, they've been letting him out for months. He goes for his weekend passes. Hope nothing blows up because that's his history.
This is the very thing that J.D. Vance was talking about.
Exactly. Oh, by the way, they also beheaded people. So, yeah, I mean, so when you're talking, this is suicidal empathy. This is just absolute contempt for human life, unless that human life belongs to a particular voting bloc and happens to be a minority. This is classic Marxism. If you belong to a certain voting bloc and you are believed to be an oppressed person, you could do almost anything. I mean, it was essentially what the Maoist revolution was based on in China. And it's a completely different and abhorrent moral system that we don't recognize it in America, but it is unfortunately seeping into the West. So in answer to how far what would they tolerate? 129 dead people, torture, murder. No big deal. How's he vote again? I'm fascinated. I'd love to sit down with the people who, some of these people who think like, who have power here. Like, what is going through your head?
Mm-hmm.
Do you love anyone? Do you care about other people? I mean,
how do you justify this? How do you rationalize this?
It's oddly fascinating and sick. So, but that's what we're seeing. I mean, and I've come to believe that's the purpose of sanctuary cities. They want it out there that if you are a wanted criminal in your own country, wanted by Interpol, on the run for murder, you can come to a Democrat city. You can live there. We'll make sure you get to, live on the streets. You don't have to be behind bars so that they can be counted in the census. I think they're recruiting them. I think it's worse than just tolerance. I think they want, because they want the votes. They want the congressional districts. No one else going to move there for any other reason. So people are fleeing blue areas.
But if you were an American citizen that walked through an open door of the White House on January 6th, we're going to persecute you to the fullest extent of the law, and then some.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. For doing riots that, quite frankly, and I don't even like to call it a riot because I just think it doesn't quite hit that threshold, are not up to snuff with what the left has done. $2 billion in damage, over 36 people dead during, just the George Floyd riots. They must just laugh at us. And honestly, on January 6th, we should just laugh at them.
Well, we should probably comment about January 6th like a certain Democrat did that said some people did some things.
Yeah, some people did some things. And it was bad. I mean, Nancy Pelosi's laptop did get damaged, in all fairness.
Yes, it's sad but true. Yeah.
Nobody died.
Yeah.
Like Democrat protests. Where, remember, we had a police chief in St. Louis was killed trying to stop the Democrat voters from stealing. But, yeah, so I just, if you're wondering where they'll go and how, is there a place where sanity will finally reassert itself? No. There's apparently nothing anyone can do that does not merit being let out. Okay. Meanwhile, the 69-year-old Trump supporter who was beaten in his yard, you see this?
No.
Yeah, this is, he made the mistake of having a pro-Trump yard. He had totally decked it out for the 250th anniversary, so pro-Trump stuff, but pro-America stuff too. Mm-hmm. He's now fighting for his life after being beaten nearly to death in his own driveway by one of his neighbors. Escondido, California, known for having his house covered in Trump and American flags, beaten by Thomas Caleb Butler, who also put a Good Samaritan who tried to stop him sent him into the emergency room too. Well, the wife has just announced that the doctors say they believe that he's not going to make it. So, motive unknown.
Yeah, we couldn't possibly figure out what his motivation would be.
No, we'll never figure it out. No. It's too hard. It's too hard.
Another victim of political violence in America.
Yeah. And if you want to know what's driving all this, this is a resurfaced poll, but the numbers are incredible when you look at this. This is Luigi Mangione, right in the wake of that, of the killing of CEO Brian Thompson. 68% of liberals said they had at least some sympathy for Mangione. Not Thompson, Mangione. 68%? 31% of liberals said they had a lot of sympathy for Mangione. And 35% of liberals said they not only sympathized with Mangione, but specifically supported his decision to murder Thompson. So look at that. I mean, look at the mentality. It's spreading. And this is not good. And I keep saying, we need to wake up to what is going on that side of the aisle. It's not isolated. It's not a rare nut. It is widespread. And if you want to see proof of that in real time, the best way I could show it to you, because this has become a thing with me, I log on to Blue Sky every day. I can't help myself. Go look at Blue Sky. Just go look at it. Just log on and put in some topic you're interested in. I don't know. Put Trump in, see what comes up. Just look at it. It is a homicidal string of rage. It's just an endless celebration and fantasy about violence. No, you don't even hide it. It's nonstop. And you would not believe what you see. It's not just that you disagree with it or their ideas are crazy or whatever, or they have a lot of conspiracy theories. It's all of that is going on too. But it is, we should take him out. We should do this. I mean, it is just, and here's the thing, Lee, you could see if they were legitimately suppressed, repressed or something. They just lost an election. That's all that happened. Yeah. That's it. I mean, this happens. You lose elections. We did. We went wandering in the woods. It was pretty terrible, but we got through it. You didn't see this on our side. No. And I've said before, we have kooks. We have, crackpots.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But you just go, especially if you spend any time on social media, you know what our side sounds like on social media, right? And then go look at Blue Sky. Yeah. You can see the difference. It's very plain. It's very clear. They are way past, hey, we're going to take back Congress. They have homicidal rage. It is all the rage.
Well, you have leaders that are sitting there calling it warfare and do whatever it takes, any means necessary. There's a dog whistle for you.
By the way, meanwhile, did you see this? Jacob Fry, the mayor of Minneapolis, remember all those riots?
Oh, yeah.
10,000 people, all that. He basically low-key admitted the Democrats put all of that on this week. Did you hear that?
No, but I'm not surprised.
I'll play it.
The goal here was not just to have ICE and Border Patrol leave Minneapolis and go to terrorize some other city. The goal, and every single person felt it deeply, to stop ICE and Border Patrol in their tracks, to stand up for the endurance of our republic, to be patriots. And we saw that by the tens of thousands of people that were protesting in the street.
Yeah, violently, if I recall.
Yes.
So he's admitting, yeah, that was us. We did that. They usually act like, wow, people have showed up. Wonder how that happened.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
It was all grassroots. It was all
grassroots.
It just happened.
Texter writes, violence is never the answer. Yeah. Might want to get a Blue Sky account, buddy, and try to explain that to him.
Fueling conservative discourse and igniting action. Join the movement. This is The Tara Show.
On News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Get Tara on demand anytime, anywhere. Text podcast to 800-905-0989 and get Tara delivered right to your phone.
News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Get a jump on the Common Sense Retirement Planning track line to talk to Lucy in Greenville. Hey, Lucy.
Good morning, Tara, and thank you and all of WORD for what y'all do to educate us politically and, to me, in common sense as well. Common sense isn't common, but y'all still have it going strong, so thank you. David Pasco, I have been noticing his yard signs around the community in yards that are known Democrats. I've lived in this community my whole life. I have relatives throughout South Carolina, and we're noticing it all over the state that known Democrats are putting his sign in their yard. And the other question, after hearing Rom Reddy on your show yesterday and on Charlie's, is he a plant?
Well, personally, I have no idea. I know he got into it with Adam Morgan over Morgan saying he's a plant. Rom Reddy saying he is not a plant. What I can tell you about Rom Reddy for sure, using facts, Lucy, is that he came on my show and he talked about how destructive Henry McMaster and his policies have been, yet he wrote a check to Henry McMaster, and he also wrote a check to Speaker Merle Smith, who he has also criticized in the past as being part of the good old boys system. In fact, he wrote, I think, $4,500 worth of checks that I could find. He says he actually wrote more when I asked him about it, to those people. So to me, that's kind of weird. I would never write a check to Henry McMaster. I think he's a disaster. But Rom Reddy said, hey, he was running against a Democrat at the time. And, I always help people run against Democrats. Okay. I don't know. You have to decide. You'll really have to decide for yourself on that one, Lucy. I will tell you this, though. David Pasco is a nice person. But I mean, I can't imagine endorsing Joe Biden. And by the way, in front of a Democrat crowd, and he did it with such passion and talked about, hey, I went to Iowa. I knocked doors for Joe in negative 22-degree weather. He's the only one I would do that for. That's in 2020. And now, and then in 2021, you start hitting the Republican circuit to campaign. And in 2025, you flip to Republican. I just have a very hard time believing.
I'm having a hard time with it as well, and I love. Again, I can't thank you and this radio station for educating us and making us think and participate in these crucial elections that are coming up. And participation is going to be the key.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, Lucy, or fortunately, I don't know, I think it's maybe a good thing. Primaries, especially if it's not a presidential year, tend to be lower turnout. And so you can have an outsized impact in a primary like this if you go and vote more than you can during a presidential year. So it's a good thing to do.
One more question. Should I ask known family members that are staunch Democrats if they're going to vote in the Republican primary?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Why not?
Here's
what I would love to know, and this is what I'm waiting for, okay? I'm wondering if we're going to see if these Democrats are going to post a go vote for Pasco. They've done that in several recent races, including one where I think a Republican was running against Lee Bright. They were both Republicans, and the Democrats are actually pushing one of them and doing videos. Hey, go vote for her. She's more liberal. So it'd be very interesting. Pasco sent me a text that he claimed showed that Democrats hate him now and they think he's one of us. And it actually was some tweets by some Democrats. I'm going to keep my eye out on that. If you've got liberal family members, I'd love to know if they're hearing a vote for Pasco message in any way. Are they getting texts? Are they getting mailers? Anything like that from Democrats?
Well, we are having a family gathering on Monday in honor of 4 of our family members being added to the names being added to the memorial on Memorial Day at County Square. And I will be asking all of them if where they stand, if they're voting in the Republican primary and if they're backing Pasco.
Okay, well, you let me know, Lucy.
I will.
Okay.
I will. God bless you. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for
Bye.
your phone call. We'll be right back.
Her band of terrorists are spreading across the Carolinas like wildfire. Join the movement. This is The Tara Show.
On News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. Talk to Tara.
That's 800-905-0989.
This is The Tara Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
The war on gasoline. Liberals fight the strangest things. Normal people fight, crime. They fight the things you need to live and work and feed your family, like gasoline. But what's going on in California right now is awesome. Folks, do you realize California, we'll get into this in a second, California is the only state in the entire nation dependent on the Strait of Hormuz to import its gasoline from Iran? You know how much oil California has? They could be completely self-sufficient, but they're liberals. They've shut down most of their major refineries because why not? Folks, do you realize gas hit $8.09 a gallon? Just showing you what Gavin Newsom could do for the country if he was elected. Well, Chevron, the gas station Chevron, has had it. And, Newsom and the Democrats have been lying because that's all they do. And they're walking around, hey, it's Trump's fault. We now have $8.09 gasoline. And they're in a panic because the last shipment through the Strait of Hormuz that is coming for any time soon left in February. It'll arrive in a couple of weeks. And then they're going to start running out. Why? It's self-inflicted pain. Why not? And folks, this is all made more absurd by the fact that the IPC, the Liberal International Gold Standard Climate Change, this is like, yeah, no, that climate change stuff is never going to happen. Nah, oceans are fine. Ice caps are fine. Polar bears, their populations tripled. We were never really serious about any of that anyway. And by the way, we never tested any of it. We just made it up. Hey, don't believe it anymore, though. So there is no reason not to reopen these California refineries. None. Global warming is done. We have it at the source. So if you're doing this now, blocking oil, blocking refineries, leaving the oil in the ground, you're doing all that. It's just pure economic destruction. You don't even have the cover of climate change anymore. Even the New York Times, she said in the last couple of weeks, hey, you know what? Let's stop talking about climate change now. Why? It's not real. So Chevron had it with Gavin Newsom lying and saying, it's Trump's fault, it's big oil company's fault. So they put up signs, folks. This is glorious. They put up signs after the Democrats paid like homeless people and meth addicts to put up Donald Trump stickers at the pump there saying, I did that. Well, some of it, yeah, about $1 of it. The rest of it is pure Democrat policy. You got $8 a gallon gas. You kidding me? And the signs explained how policies set by the governor state legislature had led to the $8 a gallon gas while everyone else is paying $4. $4 and some change right now. Well, that made Gavin Newsom big mad, the governor, because left hates nothing more than true things. There is nothing like a true thing said in their presence that will make them go insane with rage. Here's what happened.
Looks like it's on. Newsom versus Chevron. The California governor telling drivers to avoid Chevron gas stations after the chain rolled out signs blaming state leaders for the highest gas prices in the country, saying California is importing oil it could be refining at home. Well, Newsom's press office replying with this, quoting here, be sure to avoid Chevron. Pro tip, unbranded gas comes from the same refineries, storage tanks and pipelines, and it meets the same standards to keep your engine running clean, even if it doesn't have a fancy name like Techron. Good idea for a governor to push people away from one of its businesses.
They're actually putting up signs, and this is a great idea, saying things like gas doesn't cost this much in other states. Things that the liberal media would black out so they don't know them. And it's got like a little chyron, and you can, snap it with your phone. And it'll, lead you to links so you could see, hey. And this is what really made them mad. Chevron even put in the signs, Donald Trump didn't do this. Sacramento policies did. Now, folks, understand Chevron is moving its headquarters from California after 145 years. Valero is giving up and shutting down. Folks, Valero is spending losing is a better way to put it. Losing $1 billion to shut down rather than continue operating in the misery the economic misery that is California. Phillips 66 already closed. They are the only U.S. state that has to get their oil from Iran. What morons. You know what's going to be fascinating to watch going forward, y'all? Climate change is gone. Okay, you can't hide behind that. And they want to do economic destruction, destroy the American way, destroy the economy, and then say, oh, we have to come in and save it, give us more political power over every aspect of your life. That's the goal. It always has been. It's how communism works. It's how totalitarianism works. Well, they don't have the fig leaf, the cover of climate change anymore. It's going to be fascinating to see what they do. I mean, who are they going to quote? Not the IPCC. They're like, nah, climate change is not a real big thing. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's not happening. At least not man-made climate change that's damaging from greenhouse gases. So, I mean, we're done there. Do they just keep pretending like IPCC didn't reverse 4 decades of lies in print? I don't know. But here's Interior Secretary Doug Burgum. Folks, this is incredible.
At the time of this recent conflict with Iran, California was the only state that was dependent on oil coming through the Strait of Hormuz. 60%, 2 out of 3 barrels of oil comes into California by ship. They've blocked every pipeline. They blocked transmission lines. They've turned themselves proudly into an energy island. And then they're complaining, to this administration about their high energy prices. And even last year, they want to blame the current conflict. Last year, their lowest price in the year was higher than the highest prices in virtually every other state in America. I mean, this was a condition that they created for themselves long before the current conflict, but it's going to get worse for them going forward. And we're doing everything we can to try to help. We've tried to reestablish offshore. They're sitting on massive piles of oil. They were the Kuwait of the Jazz Age. Back in the 20s, they were one of the largest producers of oil in the world, and they've shut down that whole thing. We authorize offshore drilling on federal land. We got that going. They're trying to block the pipelines that are coming in, which would then help them. They used to have 40 refineries. They went down to 8. Now they've got 6. And so Texas, by comparison, has got 36 refineries going to 37. So,
it's totally Trump's fault, though. By the way, that Iranian oil is refined much dirtier than we would do if they would just let the refineries operate here. So that's how you know this is not about the environment. They don't care about that. It's about pure economic destruction.
You don't really know until you know what Tara has to say about it. You're dialed into The Tara Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas. Tap and type your message on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. This is the Tara Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Let's jump on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line and wrap up the week that was. Looking forward to a long weekend, especially love a long rainy weekend. That's just cozy to me. Texter writes, hey, Tara just fueled up the Circle K on Wade Hampton on here by the Harris Teeter. They usually have a credit price and the cash price with the credit price. Okay, I don't understand that. Anyway, Texter writes, why should they stay when a state imports gas? And it's ridiculous, talking about California. Another texture writes, regular ethanol gas, $3.89 at Shell Station, 15650 Wells Highway in Seneca. That's a good price. I was excited I scored $4.05 last night, but I guess I didn't do so well after all. Texture writes, Tara, we heard Ron Reddy's interview yesterday on this station, and he has our votes. Now, the texter reminds me that Ron Reddy donated $1 million to Donald Trump, too. So not just Merle Smith and Henry McDisaster. Texter writes, what is Tara's email? If you want to email me, that's always online at 98.9 WORD. It's tara@odyssey.com. That's the public email, TARA@odyssey.com. Another texter writes, who is pounding the payment for votes like David Pasco? I'll have to tell you, he really is working his butt off. And I mean, I guess he has to, since was endorsed Joe Biden and he's running in a Republican primary. That's a high hill to climb. Texter writes, Democrats can't afford to peddle Pasco as they are running a lot of candidates in the Democrat primary. They need their people to vote in that primary. Now, I disagree with that. If they could get a Democrat in as Attorney General, that would give them an unbelievable amount of power in the state. That would be worth the money. Because these people run the Democrat primary. They're just placeholders. They're not going to win. Texter writes, Tara, where did this go? Let's see. Tara, I can't read that one. Texter writes, Tara, if this conflict is basically between Iran and Israel, then why isn't Israel a party to the negotiations? Since the agreement will have a bigger threat to Israel than the USA, we need to let Israel take care of business since Iran is trying to destroy Israel. So says Frank. That's actually a good idea, and I can bet you the Israelis would do better than Vance and Kushner have done. Look, here's the thing. I don't see that Iran would even sit down with Israel. I don't think there even would be talks. But again, I've been saying all week, especially General Kane, I mean, he's right. Yeah, we need to take Israel off the chain, let him finish this. At least let him kill the leadership, because as long as they're alive, it doesn't matter what the details of any plan are or even whether anyone agrees to it. They violate the ceasefire, I mean, like every third day, usually aiming missiles at us. So the idea they're going to comply with any agreement, no matter how good, is a joke. They're not. Texter writes, do you think the Navy Secretary was backed into admitting that we might not have enough missiles or missile launchers to complete the war in Iran? To protect Mark Kelly from being indicted for making public non-public info? Well, that won't protect him because it wasn't public when Kelly said it, and it still hasn't been declassified. Have a great weekend.